In the words of the wise Austin Powers character, Ivana Humpalot, "You're hairy like animal. Make love to me, monkey man." Hey there, and welcome to Post Credits with Gil Garcia, where we go beyond the final scene of Bollywood films whenever I feel like it. And on today's episode, we are reviewing the writing and directorial debut film from Dev Patel titled Monkey Man. We'll be discussing the best and worst aspects of the movie, as well as what put this film on my radar for this month. I want to also compare and contrast the quality of Monkey Man to the recent string of directorial debuts for actors. I think Dev Patel is priming to throw his hat into the ring of great actors turned directors with this movie, and I'm going to tell you why here in this episode. Before we get to Act 1 of the show, I want to go over some personal developments that have gone on in my life this week that may affect the next couple shows of the month. I initially planned for April to feature 5 podcast episodes: Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, which I did last week; Monkey Man. April 20th was the 420 celebration episode; Civil War, and Challengers. But sadly, as a result of a sweeping change at work, I had to say goodbye to some close friends at work. Massive layoffs have displaced some extremely hardworking and honorable people that I know, and although I got to keep my job this time around, it has me thinking of bigger, better ways to improve my channel, the podcast, and most importantly, my career. On top of being really eye-opening, it's also hurt my morale quite significantly as well. As a result, I'm going to scrap my plans for the April 20th episode this time around. I'll take next week off to kind of refresh and begin the planning stages of my next YouTube video. I think the week off will kind of do me some good mentally, and I'll be able to recharge my batteries a bit. I've been feeling a bit burned out recently, and I think the week off will do me some good. The Civil War and Challengers reviews are still on board, as I've had them scheduled for a long time. However, if I decide to publish the episodes sooner than expected, just make sure you follow the show on social media so you know when they're live. You can follow the show on X and Instagram, search for PCwithGIL. I want to publicly send my love to the people at my job affected by these layoffs. It's not going to be the same without you all, and I hope, if you're listening, that you get back on your feet as quickly as possible. You can always reach out to me if you want to talk or get your mind off of things. Now, ugliness aside, let's get back to today's show with the first segment I call Act 1. These are my hopes and expectations for Monkey Man. An anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systemically victimize the poor and powerless. Monkey Man is written and directed by Dev Patel in his directorial debut. It's also co-written by John Cawley, known for Master and Commander Far Side of the World, and Paul Enganawela. The film stars Dev Patel as the Kid, Charlton Copley as Tiger, Pito Bosch as Alfonso, and Sikandar Kher as Rana. The reviews coming out of South by Southwest were overwhelmingly positive for Monkey Man, with social media posts showcasing the film rousing the theater to a standing ovation on its initial viewing. Critics were praising Patel's direction as a gritty, focused showcase of style and brutality. I'm a huge fan of these lesser-budgeted action films. I'm talking about Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive, there's Dread, and The Raid Redemption. There always seems to be an intimate way of making these movies that make them feel more grounded, realistic, and visceral. From the hallway fight scene in The Raid Redemption to the opening getaway scene in Drive, the bar has been set very high for the films of this caliber. Word out of South by Southwest was that Dev Patel's Monkey Man falls directly in line with what we've come to expect out of 21st century mid-budget action films. Anytime a movie is compared to these ones in particular, consider me in. As for Dev Patel himself, he took on a whole lot of responsibility for this film, not only writing and directing it, but also starring in it. His body of work up until this point has been a fascinating case study for Indian filmmakers and actors. You often see him associated with movies that are dramatic, romantic, and just straight up independent. You'll remember him as the central character in 2009's Academy Award-winning Best Picture, Slumdog Millionaire. He was nominated for an Acting Academy Award for Best Performance by a Leading Actor for his role in Lion from 2016. And in 2021, he starred in the very polarizing Knights of the Round Table film, The Green Knight. Patel has shown tremendous acting range in the 14 years he's been featured on the big screen, getting better with time and taking more creative risks, but now we get to see what he can do behind the camera. Going from an actor to director is a daunting task, let alone being the writer for the same picture and the actor. Your heart must really go into a project to perform triple duty to the best of your abilities without getting burned out. Direction isn't just calling cut or framing the camera or bossing people around. It's about getting the most out of your actors, your crew, and your editors to cohesively bring together a picture that's worthy of your vision. Directors have to help actors find the performance they need to drive the scene, whether it's in their blocking, facial expressions, inflection in their dialogue, or their understanding of their character. A director has to wear all hats and understand everyone's perspectives, no matter how big or small the role is. Only the best directors get remembered forever, and only a few of the best actors can become directors. Hell, even some of the best actors cannot even launch a directing career as well as they like. Directing is extremely difficult and career-altering. And we're going to discuss it more on the next podcast when we talk about Alex Garland's Civil War. It seems like Alex Garland has learned that lesson the hard way. But now I think it's a good time to go over some of the best actor directorial debuts before we go into the review of the film. Let's begin with Kurt Russell. We all know him for his works in Big Trouble in Little China, The Thing, Escape from New York, Overboard. But his biggest film to date, the one that everyone quotes, regards, and often jumps straight towards when they hear his name, is 1993's Tombstone. Why didn't you know that Kurt Russell directed Tombstone? Well, it's because the original director was fired halfway through the production of the film, causing Russell to step in. He even rewrote the second half of the film and directed and edited it himself to get the passion project done. Russell didn't request credit for taking over Kevin Jarre's work because he was just so passionate and focused on getting the film done. Talk about dedicated. Another actor turned director that has gained a lot of steam lately has been Olivia Wilde. The Tron Legacy star has actually taken a backseat to acting to focus primarily on directing now. Her directorial debut film was a pretty good one too, with Booksmart, starring Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever. Booksmart gained wide audience and critical praise, despite sharing a lot of similarities to the movie Superbad. It was basically a modern Superbad told from the perspective of two high school girls who were separating for college. It's a very good movie, and I definitely recommend checking it out. I think it's streaming on Hulu if you want to take a look. The next one is a surefire hit, having been nominated for 8 Academy Awards in 2019, winning 1 for Lady Gaga for her hit earworm single, Shallow. That's right, I'm talking about the 2018 reboot of the classic film A Star is Born, directed and starring Bradley Cooper. Cooper himself was nominated for 3 awards on the night. Although he didn't take any home, his portrayal as an alcoholic country music star descending from grace while helping his wife ascend to stardom is a tragic cautionary tale of drug abuse that captivated all audiences all around the world. The next filmmaker is a really unique one. An indie darling of mine and one of my favorite sleeper hits of the last 20 years, 8th Grade. 8th Grade is an adorable coming-of-age story from the mind of Bo Burnham. Known for being a comedy sketch actor and internet comedian, Bo Burnham produced an incredibly kind and honest film about a young girl fearfully preparing to enter high school. It organically captures the absurdity and awkward tension of wanting to be popular in school, the pratfalls of pretending to be someone you're not, and the merits of being genuine to who you want to become. I love 8th Grade. It's one of my favorite A24 films. It's severely underrated and, in my opinion, is far better than Greta Gerwig's own directorial debut film, Lady Bird. If you have a chance, check it out. It'll make you laugh, cringe, and lift your spirit. The last one I want to mention, otherwise we'll be here all night, is a powerhouse of a film. Get Out. Get Out was a roller coaster of a movie that heavy-handedly hit on its social commentary messaging while delivering a truly creepy and unforgettable thriller. Nominated for 4 Academy Awards, Get Out took home an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay to none other than Jordan Peele. Yes, Jordan Peele, the sketch comedy actor from Key and Peele. No one expected this from such a fun No one expected this from such a funny actor, but Get Out subverted all expectations and launched Jordan's career into the stratosphere. Jordan Peele hasn't squandered his newfound producing career. He has crafted some of the best genre films of the past decade, including Us and Nope. And I think it's only fitting that we end on Jordan Peele because his production studio, Monkey Paw Productions, is directly involved with the creation of today's film, Monkey Man. Originally funded and produced by Netflix, Monkey Man was severely hampered by Netflix over concerns that India would oppose the film's religious messaging and put it up for distribution. Jordan Peele saw the film and, feeling that it deserved a theatrical release, came on board as a producer under his Monkey Paw Productions banner. He managed to persuade Universal Pictures to acquire the film from Netflix for under $10 million. Talk about a steal. Patel later stated that Jordan Peele took us from this thing that was brushed under the carpet to putting us on top of the mantelpiece. Monkey Man is about as big of an underdog story as they come, but does the film hold up to Jordan Peele's reputation? Does Dev Patel cement himself now into the best actor turned directors of his generation? I think it's about time that we stop talking about other films and other directors, throw on the gloves, enter the ring with Monkey Man. This is Act 2, the official review of the film. At one point during the first act of Monkey Man, Kid, played by Dev Patel, steals a purse from an Indian human trafficker named Queenie. He then uses the purse as leverage to earn money to purchase a revolver from a gun dealer. In this exchange, the gun dealer refers to his offerings as the John Wick of India. There couldn't be a more appropriate comparison for this film other than that this is the John Wick of India. Monkey Man is an extremely gritty, dirty, ugly, in context, not in filmmaking, movie. It has no fear in displaying the seedy underbelly and crime of the city of Mumbai. Patel uses a mixture of steady cam and shaky cam to get us right into the mind of Kid. From a ground level, we can feel the desperation and anguish in the streets of India, following children as they peddle and pickpocket, whorehouses, coked-up police officers, brothels where dozens of Indian men have to sleep near each other without blankets because they have nowhere else to go. It's in this intimate and personal style of filmmaking that we are truly brought into the Monkey Man universe. We understand the culture of India and why crime is so prevalent. You see, crime doesn't just run rampant in the streets because there's some opulence, glory, or joy to be had. People are stealing because it's a necessity. Dev Patel paints India as an organically poverty-struck country, riddled by the corruption of the judicial system and business operations of its leaders. The country is a meat grinder for the downtrodden. People don't elevate or ascend here. They disintegrate and are forgotten forever. This movie even begins in a turbulent meat grinding way, with Kid taking a fall in an underground kickboxing event just so he can make a few rupees. Even the event manager, Tiger, played by Charlton Copley, is in on the action, abusing and underpaying his fighters just so he could reap the benefits. Tiger sets the stage for the political turmoil of this movie by targeting Christians and Buddhists in the audience, rousing them by painting a target on the heads of the two performers in the ring. The audience of the fight are emblematic of the entire Indian lower class, people thrown into a spectacle of violence while the higher-ups use their religious zealotry to oppress them. Within 10 minutes, we understand what's at stake, who's at stake, and what is motivating everyone. Kid is a hardworking and determined individual, showcasing the prowess of a young man who's talented, intelligent, and cunning enough to make a living. However, his anger, his hatred, has him destined for something far greater than what he is given. The tale of the deity Hanuman is at the core of the story. We are told that Hanuman is a guardian of the people of India, who desired to feast upon the sun because on earth he was starving. When his hunger grew too large and he attempted to eat the sun, the gods shunned him. Hanuman then waged war upon the demon king, determined to protect the people of India, thus becoming their guardian. There is immediate imagery towards Kid being the reincarnate of Hanuman, a man destined to overthrow a self-appointed prophet named Baba Shakti. Baba Shakti's radical religious reformation of the country has thrown its people into a spiral of unpredictability. On one hand, Baba Shakti is claiming to be a benevolent leader, building temples for the greater good of the people of India. But on the other hand, he is burning down villages and purging Indians on the outskirts of the country who don't share his political and religious views. One of those villages happens to be that of Kid's. We are given quick glimpses into the past that Kid has. They are very important and fragmented, but they are clear enough for the audience to understand. The commanding officer to Baba Shakti, named Rana, is shown standing before a burning village with a sliced earlobe and smoking a cigar. It's very evident that the two were responsible for the purging of Kid's village and the murder of his mother. That's all the motivation we need as Kid's plan for revenge begins to take shape. The premise is simple, effective, and clear. We want what Kid wants because there's no bigger motivator in a character's story than the love of their mother. She was the one to teach him of Hanuman, so it's only fitting that he guises himself in the monkey mask whenever he's in the fighting rings. A subtle choice in the storytelling that most audiences won't feel until the end of the film is Dev Patel's storytelling pattern. In the first couple acts of the movie, Kid's backstory is only told through quick, messy jump cuts and inserts. This indicated the mindset of our hero. When we meet him, he is a broken man. His memories and focus are unclear. He knows what drives him, but he doesn't quite know yet how to achieve it. He has panic attacks that cut away to images of his mother being strangled to death, and he lapses in judgment in critical moments. In order to achieve his revenge, he's going to have to clear his mind and become whole. He must use all of his skills that he's learned on the streets, whether it's his fighting prowess in the kickboxing ring, the deception and thievery of the streets, or the wit to use every tool to his advantage. We see throughout the planning stages of his revenge that Kid is very resourceful. We even see in his fighting style, grabbing pots, pans, and bottles to take down the henchmen. But what I really loved was a scene where he used a small dog to his advantage. The comparisons to John Wick immediately popped in my head when he befriends a dog outside the kitchen that he works. He's infiltrating a boss there. The kitchen, like the entire building, is locked down from any type of guns or weapons. What we seemingly believe is just him feeding a stray dog scrap as a kindly gesture of his nature ends up being a manipulative ploy to teach the dog how to fetch his revolver, packaged up and smuggling it through the back alleys undetected. It's freaking brilliant. I kept thinking to myself, how the hell is he going to get this gun inside the building? As we alluded to earlier, it was so heavily guarded, but that little dog actually plays an important role in the overall film just because of this one scene. Let's talk about the villains for a second. There are three major villains in this story. Baba Shakti, who's the spiritual guru that is draining the life force out of the country. He's doing whatever is in his power before his re-election during Diwali. Baba Shakti is a spineless coward of a character, posing as a benevolent religious leader on television but slowly profiting off of his believers. By the end of the film, he shows his true colors and gets a cheap shot onto Kid before he gets what is coming to him. I really enjoy the portrayal of this character by Makran Deshpande. Then there's Queenie, the human trafficker serving as the central provider of drugs and prostitutes to the region. Her relationship with the leaders of India is well known, making her one of the most powerful people in the country, despite mostly working in the shadows. Queenie is a wonderfully entertaining bitch. She's ruthless in the way that she talks to her servants, to strangers, and even to Rana and Baba Shakti himself. Ultimately, it is her brothel that becomes the final battleground for the film. I loved hating this character, honestly, and kudos to the actress, Ashwini Kalsekar. She was surprisingly intimidating without being a physical threat. Then, of course, there's Rana. Rana is the commanding officer who muscles the corrupt police force surrounding Baba. Rana is the man who is directly responsible for killing Kid's mother and burning their home. Sikandar Kaur's physical prowess in this role is perfect for the character. He towers over Dev Patel, even bolstering more muscle and more weight. The two characters' fights are a blend of balance and power. You feel the power behind Rana's punches, because he's shown throwing Kid around with ease. Yet Kid persists, and that's because this is what he's trained for his whole life. Kid can take the punishment, while also giving it back. Ultimately, they have two fight scenes together, and although I did like the first fight more, the outcome of the second fight is way more cathartic and subdued in the way that it's shot. Before I talk about the action of this movie, which is why you pay to watch a movie like this, I want to give praise to two minor characters who leave an impression on the film, but aren't given the star treatment. Alfonso, played by Pito Bosch, is essentially the Q to James Bond. He's the swarmy comedic relief character that helps Kid get into the club and extract his revenge. The two of them share some solid comedic chemistry together, despite Pito Bosch carrying most of the personality on screen. The second character is Neela, played by Aditi Kalkunte. She comes off a little bit like a romantic interest, but I think her mutual interest in Kid comes from an understanding of the people that they work for. Neela is a sex worker that is abused by Queenie, and Kid looks to liberate her from their reign of terror. I like how the two of them don't kiss or show any physical affection towards one another. They are just two trapped souls waged in the battle of the soul of the country. I do want to warn you though, this movie is highly political, so prepare yourself for that. I wouldn't call it woke because it's an Indian film. Of course it's going to have an Indian cast. But there are sentiments of homophobia and bigotry at play here. A major side plot of Kid's takedown of Baba is a group of transgendered outcasts. This group is in hiding from Baba over the religious purging that is commencing all over the country. They rescue Kid from certain death and rehabilitate him because they see what he represents. The use of transgendered warriors in this movie may be off-putting to some people, but the movie does a great job of justifying their existence, explaining the importance of Brahman, their androgynous god. To them, having no gender brings balance upon the earth, symbolizing that both men and women can have a place to coexist, even if it is within one's body. I think it's a really fascinating subject to think about, and I don't really mind their inclusion in this movie. It makes a ton of sense in the story that they're trying to tell here, especially with Baba purging all the religious outcasts. Their inclusion in the final fight scene is really badass as well. I like their inclusion at the end. Now, talking about the fight sequences, this movie feels more like the Raid Redemption than John Wick. Dev Patel mixes an energetic camera panning style that not only dirties the frame, but gets the audience right in the middle of the fight. The camera does shake and move a lot, but it's done tastefully enough so that you can understand the geometry of the fight, the placement of the fighters, and you can see the choreography of the actors. If you're sensitive to motion, perhaps this movie isn't for you. But at least the camera doesn't move as much as The Bourne Identity or Taken for that matter. There are enough wide-angle shots to see what is happening in front of you. I mentioned Kid's resourcefulness earlier. Dev Patel's fighting style in this movie is insane. It's definitely a mixture of John Wick meets Jackie Chan. He'll throw a frying pan at a man 1 minute, then in the next minute he'll suplex them onto a toilet, snapping their neck. If you've only seen Dev Patel in Slumdog Millionaire or Lion, you wouldn't expect such ass-kickery to come from him. He truly shines in this movie as the next big action movie star. Now, the ambiguous ending can be interpreted from many different angles. If this is the only film we get from the Monkey Man story, I will 100% be satisfied. However, if Universal Pictures and Monkey Paw Productions greenlights a sequel, I won't be opposed to it. Monkey Man is one hell of a joyride with plenty of action, character, and world building. It highlights some important themes and cultural differences from a country that the United States doesn't import enough films from. And I think this is a significant step into the normalization of Bollywood and Hindi films in the US. I will go on a limb and say that Dune Part 2 has a little bit of competition now for my favorite film of 2024, and I will give Monkey Man a solid 4.5 out of 5. I love this movie. I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes to home video, and hopefully it gets a physical release. I think it carries a lot of weight with it, while also delivering some incredible action set pieces. My only wish was that there was a little bit less shaky cam. The final segment of the show is where I give you the audience and critical reception to Monkey Man, as well as some behind-the-scenes magic that brought this film to life. This is Act 3, Beyond the Final Scene. From a standing ovation at South by Southwest to certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, Monkey Man weighs in at a combined 88% from critics on the website. Critic consensus says, an audacious effort from debuting director Dev Patel, Monkey Man dispenses action and socio-political commentary with equal aplomb. Audience members also think highly of the film, rating it 84% positive. However, some casual moviegoers have spotlighted their dislike of the transgender and political messaging for the sole reason why they don't like this movie. They consider it garbage, while others champion this movie for it. You'll especially see negative reviews for this film come from white American Christians. In fact, one audience member, named Christian, wrote this on the website. Quote, "A lot of cultural Indian stuff that just did not resonate since I didn't know their customs, religion, etc. So that was lost on me. Still, not a country I have any interest in visiting. Seems very foreign." You see, that That is why I don't always trust audience reviews, the same way audiences don't trust critical reviews. This is your stereotypical review bombing. And it seems like a lot of Christians took offense to this film not being about Jesus Christ riding in on an eagle, chugging a Budweiser with his blonde housewife, who just made him a sandwich, by the way, spraying terrorists with an AR-15 to protect the president because America. If you went into this movie thinking that it was all going to be USA, USA, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry. I just think that this is a much better film than to be called trash for representing India. The closed-mindedness is what irritates me the most about these audience reviews. I don't really like to get political on this podcast, but to read shit like that when it doesn't even talk about the merit of the film, it just talks about how the person doesn't like India. Like, what the fuck is that, man? It pisses me off. Anyways, let's just move on and go over some filmmaking factoids to close out the show. We talked about this movie being a low-budgeted action film, and to me, that's what makes it feel more real and impactful, especially compared to the artificial shit that we see from Zack Snyder and Marvel. But did you know, due to budget costs, that multiple shots in this film were done with GoPros and iPhones? That's pretty incredible considering that a lot of the cinematography of this film is actually really well done. The colors, the lighting, and the grittiness of it. And to know that it was primarily done on GoPros and iPhones is pretty amazing. Speaking of Zack Snyder and Marvel, this next factoid is a direct shot at them and the studio structure of action films. You may not see Dev Patel directing the next Avengers movie. Let's just put it that way. Now, while introducing the film at the South by Southwest premiere, Dev Patel says he feels the action genre has been abused by the system. He went on saying, a quick buck, mindless shit. I wanted to give it soul, real trauma, real pain. You guys deserve that. I wanted to infuse this movie with a little bit of culture. And he does. This movie is really unique from that sense. I definitely like this a whole lot more than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania or the Marvels. On top of being the writer, director, and lead actor, Dev Patel suffered a number of injuries during the filming of this movie, which included a broken hand, 2 broken toes, a torn shoulder, and an eye infection. Now that is dedication. Good on you, Dev Patel. You got your passion project done. And now our final factoid of the day. Monkey Man is inspired by Patel's love of Bruce Lee movies, Korean movies, Bollywood titles, and tales his grandfather told him as a child. And with that, we can officially call it a wrap on Monkey Man. Did you see it? What did you think of the film? Let me know in the comments on YouTube or on social media. You can also find the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And while you're there, please drop a follow and positive review. You have no idea how much your support means to me. The next podcast episode, once again, will be for Alex Garland's Civil War. So be on the lookout for when I post it. And I may even do a video review for it. So keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Take care, everyone, and go catch a movie.